right. It is 6:32 on Tuesday, November 19th, and I am calling the November meeting of ANC 6E to order. So we'll start with a roll call. SMD 6E01, Commissioner Hart, present. SMD 6E02, Commissioner Viedma is not present. SMD 6E03, Commissioner Rogers.
Aye.
All right, thank you. SMD 6E04, Commissioner Blackson, I don't see yet. SMD 6E05, Commissioner Abu Khalaf is not going to be able to join us this evening. SMD 6E06, I don't see Commissioner Forrest. SMD 6E07, Commissioner Carson.
Present.
Thank you. SMD 6E08, Commissioner Prince.
Present.
Thank you. And SMD 6E09, Commissioner Hans.
Present.
Present, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Oh, and there's Commissioner Blackson. Let me just move her over. All right, Commissioner Blackson, we were just finishing the roll call, so I will mark you present.
Thank you.
And so we have 6 commissioners, which constitutes a quorum. So let's get started. All right, first up is just the approval of the agenda. And I can just pull that up quick. Maybe. There we go. All right, so not too busy of an agenda tonight. We have our normal updates. Just flagging, we need to approve the September and October minutes. I think last month we accidentally approved July again by mistake, which is no problem. And then we'll have our regular updates. We'll have an introduction to a planned development at 471 to 479 H Street. That's in SMD 6E09. We'll have a brief update from DDOT on an addition to the notice of intent that we discussed a couple months ago to add left turn lanes at 6th and K Streets, as well as 6th and New York Avenue. We have a liquor license application for Libetti at 420 K Street, which is in SMD 6E01. Commissioner Prince will give us a brief update on the upcoming public hearing for the Acacia Building Historic Designation, which we've talked about in the past. And then we've approved our Q4 QFR, so we don't need to do that. And so we'll go into our open forum. Any questions, comments, concerns from commissioners? All right, not hearing any. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda for the November 2024 ANC 6E meeting.
Okay, and a second?
I'll second it.
Great, so Commissioner Hans moved and Commissioner Prince seconded to approve the agenda for the November 19th, 2024 ANC meeting. All those in favor, please vote aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, that's the motion passes. 6 ayes and 0 nays. All right, then next up we have, so we have both the September and October minutes, which both have been circulated to everyone from Karen. I have not heard any concerns with the minutes as circulated. Does anyone have any questions, comments, or concerns to raise regarding either the September or October minutes? Okay, if not, ask for a motion to approve. We can do one motion to approve both minutes from September and October.
Sure. I will move to approve the minutes of our September and October meetings.
Great, and a second?
A second.
All right, Commissioner Prince moved and Commissioner Rogers seconded to approve the minutes from the September and October meetings. All those in favor, please vote aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes, 6 ayes, 0 nays. Great. So next up we have updates from Councilmember Allen's office. Jean, just give me a minute and I'm gonna move you over. So you can speak. John, let me just make you a co-host so you can turn on your camera if you would like to. Welcome, John. How are you? You should be able to come off
Oops,
mute
can
now.
you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, excuse me 1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
Um, okay, welcome, everybody, and thanks for having me. My name is Jean, and I'm with Councilmember Allen, and I work in Northwest and Southwest for Councilmember Allen, and in Ward 6. So I wanted to say, mention a couple of things. One is, Councilmember Allen introduced a couple of bills this week to address some community issues. One, the first bill would bring more shade to playgrounds and other public spaces using solar panels. The goal of this is to ensure that our playgrounds are still usable as are obviously getting hotter and hotter, especially in the summertime. So this bill would require the city to identify 20 sites from playgrounds to bike lanes to sidewalks and even parking lots to find out and identify where it makes the most sense to install solar panels that can provide shade and reduce risks from heat exposure and generate clean energy at the same time. The second bill would give community youth sports leagues priority in booking fields run by DPR and DCPS. The bill gives higher priority to the leagues that, first of all, don't cut kids from participating, and B, provide ways to ensure cost isn't a barrier to participate. And the thirdly, that they serve DC kids and make sure that they have the priority when it's time to hand out for field permits. The bill limits that priority to after school and early evening hours and weekends because there's obviously a lot of demand on our fields. We are having I'm pretty sure Councilmember Matt Fruman held a public roundtable on the full ecosystem of DPR field permitting. So you can check that out on the council website. The next item I want to talk about is the Brickies. They are coming up to Thursday, December 5th. They run from 6 to 8, and we have just secured this week arena stage for the venue. For those of you who don't know, this is Ward 6's annual party where we celebrate members of our community by presenting them with real, actual bricks. The awards will be given out in several categories. There is the neighbor category, the business category, the community organization, public service, and civic pride. We will have food and drink donated from local Ward 6 restaurants and businesses, and this is open to all Ward 6 residents. I will pop the RSVP into the chat. Next up is the WMATA Better Bus Plan. WMATA just released their final proposal to overhaul the entire region's bus network and update it based on how the city has changed, where the riders are going, and more. Councilmember Allen hosted 2 town halls to get feedback and review the project. And early analysis shows WMATA incorporated a lot of this feedback and concern we received. The WMATA Board of Directors will consider and vote on this at their next meeting, and I will include the big WMATA document in the chat as well. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Sean. Just want to give a thank you to Councilmember Allen and your office for pushing WMATA to take into account the sunsetting of circulator service. I was really pleased to see that there is a new D80 route in the final Better Bus Plan that would essentially replicate the Georgetown Union Station route, which, as you know, is an important commuting route for folks in 6E, and would actually go even further, all the way up to Friendship Heights. So I was happy to see that addition. So just want to thank the council member and your team for continuing to push on that.
Yeah, that one was important, as well as in Southwest, we lost two really critical regular people, not tourist circulator lines for sure in Ward 6.
Yeah, so much appreciated. Any other questions for John? I see a hand.
Yes, thank you.
Oh yeah,
Hi,
Commissioner Prince.
John. Thank you, Chairman. I'm happy to hear about the idea of putting in solar panels to provide shade at playgrounds. I'd be interested in knowing sort of what the mechanism will be to input. I'm thinking about Cobb Park, which is not really built yet. We should have a small playground. How would we make this known so that something might be considered for Cobb Park?
Yeah, I think coming to the next DPR, pretty organized, and I know that that was talked about in the last community meeting with DPR and DGS, with the architects and the even the funder for the central stage, or I'm messing that up, but I know you know what I mean, as well as working with the SID. But I'm also happy to take this back to our committee, who obviously works really closely with DDOT in public space as well. So anything you want to suggest, I'm happy to forward that along, or I can put our committee director in the chat as well. He's really easy to reach.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for John? Folks on the line, feel free to raise your hand or type in to the Q&A. All right. Well, I'm not seeing anything. So thank you very much, John, for those updates. And if you drop stuff into the chat, I'll move it over so everybody can see it.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
All right. So next up, we have updates from the mayor's office representative, Ward 6, Marcus Manning. And Marcus, I'm promoting you to panelist. Give me one moment. And let me make you a co-host so you can turn your video on if you'd like. And hi, Marcus, how are you?
Awesome. Can you see me? I'm sorry. I'm in my vehicle.
Oh, no worries.
I didn't make it home yet, so my apologies.
We got you.
But I want to definitely thank ANC 6E for inviting me to the meeting tonight. It's wonderful to see everyone again. I hope everyone's been well over this past month. Just a few updates. So exactly today, last week, on November 12th, Mayor Bowser, she provided an update for the 60th presidential inauguration. And there's actually a presser, like a YouTube presser, that I can share with everyone. But in the update, she basically reinforced the peaceful transition of power, outlined where our district agencies are in preparation of planning for a certification of the election on January 6th and the inauguration. So if you have any questions, I'll definitely share that YouTube presser in the chat so everyone can see that. As well as on November 12th, she also activated the first hypothermia alert of the season, which really want to encourage our residents and businesses, whomever, everyone on the call, just to stay proactive and vigilant of individuals who may be outdoors and may be in need of assistance. You can contact 311 or the shelter hotline, which is 202-399-7093. I'll repeat that number again. It's 202-399-7093. That number is the shelter hotline where you can call anyone to come assist and help out, our neighbors in need. Lastly, on Wednesday, November 13th last week, Mayor Bowser and the Office of our Deputy Mayor for Public Safety and Justice, they announced 4 community-based organizations. They have been awarded about $10 million for the fiscal year FY25 for safe passage. And Safe Passage is a program that just supports students as they travel to and from school. And I think for our Ward 6 areas, they actually have 12 priority areas. But Ward 6, we have 3 of those priority areas, which resides are LaFont Plaza, Noma, which is in our neighborhood, and Potomac Avenue. And there's also a press release on that to identify the exact community-based organizations that receive that, and I can share that in the chat. And lastly, I want to say our Department of Public Works, they're currently operating their leaf collection service period up until February 8th or 9th, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sorry if don't have the correct date. But this is a process where they encourage our residents to rake their leaves and try to put them to the curb or close to a tree box. So if anyone may be in need of assistance or would like to call, feel free. My contact number is 202-538-1241. That number again is 202-538-1241. My email address is marcus.manning@dc.gov. Feel free to give me a text, email, call, any type of method you want to communicate. I'm here to assist. But thank you so much. I'm willing to take any questions.
Thanks, Marcus. I really appreciate the update. I haven't admittedly been out that way in the past couple of days, but I think we had this happen last year too, where the unit block of K Street, I don't think is on the regular leaf collection pickup.
Okay.
So if we can make sure, just especially the bike lanes along K Street are getting cleared, and the tree belts as well, would appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And I can put in the 311 too if that's better.
And I can what I'll do before I head to the office tomorrow, I'll just visit again just to double check. If there is leaves, I'll take photos and share that 311 with you.
Yeah, and like I said, I was out of town this weekend, so it may have gotten taken care of already, but just want to make sure we're taking care of that those couple blocks that don't get hit sometimes.
I appreciate it. So I'll definitely inform DPW, make sure that they're aware of that.
Awesome. Thank you. Any other comments, questions, concerns for Marcus? All right. I'm not hearing any. So thanks, Marcus. Appreciate the update and appreciate all you do for 6E and for Ward 6.
I'm sorry. Thank you so much. My car light turned off.
Oh, no problem. We'll let you go.
No, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Marcus. All right. Great. So next up, moving right along, we're a bit early. I'm not sure. Do we have anybody from the first district? MPD. If you don't recognize any names, but please raise your hand if you're here. Otherwise, we will go to Zach because I see him, and we can come back to MPD. All right, great. We'll jump ahead then. Commissioner Hans, did we lose you? No, there you are. If you could pull up the presentation from Zach, and Zach, I'm going to promote you to panelist. We have Zach Williams from Venable, who's going to talk about plan development at 471 to 479 H Street Northwest. And if anybody else is here on that subject, please raise your hand and I'll move you over as well. All right, Mark, I see you. And Howard, I see you. So give me 1 second to move everybody over and we'll get that presentation pulled up.
Just pulling it up.
Okay, great. Howard, you should get a message asking you to accept being promoted. There we go. Okay, great. Well, while we get your presentation pulled up, Zach, I'll turn it over to you and your team.
Great. Thanks so much, Chris. My name is Zach Williams. I'm a land use attorney with the law firm of Venable. representing the developer in this case. The properties that we'll be talking about tonight are 471 and 473 H Street Northwest. And the purpose of this discussion is just a preliminary informational presentation. We do expect that we will be going before several approval bodies. We've already gone through a couple of preliminary reviews, including historic preservation, Commission of Fine Arts, and also the Board of Zoning Adjustment. We're not seeking a vote tonight as we're still working on this project. It's still in its in the early phase of development, but we will be presenting to you tonight with our architect, Mark Freeman, are some of the concept drawings that we've been talking about with HPRB and with CFA. We want to put these on your radar as we continue to develop the site and make sure that we're engaged with the community and the ANC as we continue to go through the process. Howard Bongum is with the developer. He's also with us tonight and is also available for any questions. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our architect, Mark Freeman, to walk through the presentation. Thank you.
And are you seeing the presentation now? Just want to make sure.
Yeah, you see it.
Okay, great. Mark, I don't hear you if you're.
We just turned the mute off. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, gotcha. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you for that introduction, Zach. My name is Mark Freeman. I'm also here with my partner, Lucia Freeman. We are the principals with Aggregate Architecture. We are the firm which has been commissioned to design this 46-unit affordable housing project at 471 and 473 H Street Northwest.
A little bit about the project. Currently, I'll give you some of the context. The project is on the north side of 5th Street Northwest, and the east side to the east of 5th Street. I'm sorry, H Street, the north side of H Street and the east side of 5th Street. Apologies. And it contains currently two 1800s row houses that were formerly inhabited by a law firm. They've sort of fallen into disrepair, and our goal is to restore the existing properties and to provide much needed affordable housing in the area. You can go to the next slide, please. So these are the two subject row houses. They've been vacant for a while, and the context in the area, there's several different historic buildings, but as most of the downtown historic district, there's kind of a wide range of styles and ages. So there really is no particular style that we have to kind of fit into. And obviously the context has mid-rise buildings from various ages in the area. The 60s apartment building, the Judiciary House, is immediately to the east of our site. The 1920s bank building is on the corner. And then the 475 Mass Ave is to the north side.
Or no, 475 is directly to our west, but then the Massachusetts Avenue's directly behind us to the north.
Directly to the north, correct. Go to the next slide. And this just gives you some of the sort of historic context of the area. And then let Mark present the overview of our project.
So if you can go to the next slide, please. So what we have done to sort of just show the community preliminarily, this is, we have some axon views and a few perspectives, but I think this really gives the holistic view of the proposed project. What we are doing is we are going to remove the rear half of 471 while maintaining the whole footprint of 473. As Zach has mentioned, we've been working with HPRB and CFA about the massing and about the general development here. And so we recently presented to HPRB where we discussed the height and the 11-story addition at the rear. And so this is where the bulk of the project is towards the rear. Since this is a historic district, maintaining the historic properties towards the front and ensuring that they have air and light, as well as maintain their priority on the street front. So that is a major reason why the project is set back. Next slide, please. And so again, these are two additional axon views. The one to the left is more of a worm's eye, and the one to the right is a bird's eye. And these are to help illustrate the context and, again, the massing of the proposed 11-story addition with the penthouse at the back against the adjacent buildings, Mass Avenue to the north and the Judiciary to the east, and then the 3-story buildings directly to our west. Next slide, please. And these are, again, further views. The one on the left is a perspective looking east. This is behind the Judiciary House looking to the west. I'm sorry. This is towards Fifth Street. And then the perspective on our right is looking east down that alley on Fifth Street. Again, these are both intended to help illustrate the massing and the general design that we are working on at the present moment. If you can move to the next slide, please. These are 2D views. These, I think, help illustrate the materiality that we are exploring. We are looking at some horizontal paneling with larger expanses of glass to sort of juxtapose the more traditional element in the building to the buildings to the front. We are attempting to sort of work in some of the proportions of the buildings, which are 3 stories, and then we have some stronger string lines that kind of help illustrate that. But I think the point here is right now, preliminarily, this is where we are. We are, again, looking at 46 units, all affordable housing. There'll be a mixture of efficiencies, 1 and 2 bedrooms. The project is still in its preliminary stage. We've gotten support from HPRB for the massing and the program. We are still working on CFA, which we will be presenting here in the next, I think, Thursday. But I think in short, this is sort of where we are. The next page, if you want to go, again, here's some other views here. Elevation, we've got the south or the north elevation on our left and the west elevation on our right. And then the next slide. And then here's sort of a perspective that illustrates some of the material exploration that we have. We do need a green roof. We are looking at sustainable aspects, both due to the green building code, which is a requirement, and upon our own volition, just to explore greener construction processes and materiality. Next slide, please. And then I think this illustrates, so these are 2 section views which illustrate the massing of our addition against the existing structures. The one on the left is 473, which again, we are maintaining the holistic footprint of. And then the one on the right is cutting off the back half of 471, which is why that's a little bit less remaining of 471. And then the last slide. This illustrates our views. And this is, one of the stronger aspects of historic is to illustrate the importance of the historic structure and then the addition to the rear. Obviously, there's a juxtaposition, there's a greater mass. However, it's still important to step back the new addition and the taller structure from the existing and to maintain its priority, the historic structure's priority on the street front. So thank you for the opportunity to discuss this briefly and to provide this informational presentation to the ANC.
We're happy to answer any questions as well.
Great. Thanks, Mark and Lucia. So, Chris, with that, I'll turn it back over to you. And we're happy to answer any questions. As I said, this is still a work in progress. And when and if we are ready to move forward with the project, we'll be coming back to the ANC, and we'll be doing a more formal presentation and looking for your support.
Great. Well, thanks, Zach and Mark and Lucio. We really appreciate the early update and coming out to give us a preview. I do have one question, and then I'll open it up to other commissioners. So you said it would be 46 affordable units. I'm just curious, what is the mechanism for the financing for the affordable units? And what level of affordability will they be?
Howard, you want to take that one? You're muted.
Happy to do so. Good evening, everybody. My name is Howard Dongham. I represent the developer on this project. We are working with a community development bank, a City First, and we are hoping to deliver a project under 50% affordability.
Okay, great. Appreciate that. Other questions from commissioners? Commissioner Prince, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I think I'm kind of interested in sort of the timeline and at what points we will have opportunities for input. I did have a chance to preview the file online. And I noted a couple of things that kind of struck me. I think I'm correct that there's no parking, and I can imagine that construction of a parking garage would be very much of a task and costly as well under the existing structures. And I also noticed that the back of the building runs right up to the alley, and I'm going to assume that you thought that through and that there will be adequate space for any kind of loading or trash and all that. And if you have any comments on that, I would welcome it. And then finally, just sort of from an architectural point of view, I think it's quite an attractive design. Although I'm just struck by the large part of the south exposure that doesn't have windows. I assume there must be a structural reason for that, but that looks to me, as a person with large windows on the south, maybe as a missed opportunity. So welcome knowing why that has happened. Because if I lived there, I would certainly want to have that south exposure. Thank you.
Sure, I'll start and then I'll hand it off to Mark, talk a little bit more about the design. So first of all, I'll hit this in reverse. On that wall, that southeast wall or southwest wall, that's an at-risk wall. It's on the property line. And so we can't put windows there.
I meant the wall that faces directly south over H, the front of the building, the sort of the forwardmost portion of the building.
Okay. I thought there were windows there, but Mark, maybe you can take on that one.
But mostly
thanks.
it's sort of the front of that tower.
So if you can go towards, I think this is a good view. So right now, our current configuration has a stair tower right there, right behind 471 as it goes vertical. And so that part primarily has that stair tower and, structural aspects, trying to maintain our lateral, but it also is a code separation for a tight site. It's an L shape, and having our code separation or our proper distance from the two stair towers. We have had feedback from HPRB that this is something they would like us to explore altering to add some more windows to that south facade right there, specifically behind the 471 side. And that is something that we are taking as a strong consideration and looking at how we can alter that to adjust that. I think you also asked about loading and about parking. We, from a zoning standpoint, we are not required to have parking. So we are not adding parking for this. And that's the other thing that we will have is we will have a loading dock and we will have proper, trash removal, loading dock. Trying to think, and what other question did you have?
Okay, no, I just want to clarify, I'm not advocating for parking.
No, it's okay. I'm just making sure that I note the reason why we didn't do it. There is, and that, we essentially utilize the zoning code as our reasoning and then,
But
okay.
in terms of alley passageway and alley traffic and so forth, is that a sort of a closed off alley, if I recall, or is that the one that bends around and comes out on Massachusetts Avenue?
It comes out and bends out and opens onto Mass Avenue. And so it is a 20-foot wide hook and ladder. So it is wider than most. And you are correct, your observation about us. We are utilizing or we have pushed up the building to the rear. And that is part of our preliminary exploration about the zoning and then the need to come back and request support for the proposal from you.
Right, and so you would have space for dumpsters there, for trucks to maneuver and so forth.
Correct.
Yeah.
We would not be minimizing the alley in any shape or form. And actually, our current proposal is a couple feet off of the back right now.
I don't suppose there's any provision in the building for any bicycle parking, electric or regular?
No, there is. We are required to have long-term bicycle parking storage as well as short-term at the front.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Commissioner Prince. Commissioner Blackson, I see your hand. Go ahead.
Yes, did I miss the total number of units? I know you said 50% affordable and 46 affordable units. What's the total number of units?
46 is,
46.
yes, 46.
That is the total?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
all right. Thank you.
And Commissioner Blackson, it's 46 all affordable at under the 50% level. Is that right, Howard? I understood you correctly.
That's correct.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm sorry, when we say 50%
Commissioner
level,
Hutz, yeah.
yeah, when we say 50% level, can we just clarify what exactly that means, just for people that don't know?
Oh, Howard, do you want to take that one? I'm happy to clarify too.
Yeah, sure. We're aiming to provide this at the 50% level, which means that it's basically it would be affordable for 50% of those making the average median income of the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you.
And so I think, Ratanj, that works out to roughly $50,000 for a family of four in DC.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that, but it's somewhere around there. Any other questions from commissioners or folks on the line? Feel free to raise your hand.
Yes, Commissioner Rogers. I'd like to know the percentage. What are the numbers, right? I'd like to know the percentage of how much you have to make to live in one of those penthouses, right? Since they are no 50% bracket affordable.
Right, we are looking to get subsidies that would help in the development of this project. So our aim is to deliver this at the 50% level. We do it's really early stages right now. We do understand that number can go higher, but this will be information that we would provide to the commission as soon as we have that those numbers available.
Great.
I can say this just to help. I mean, the DC does publish these income AMI levels, and so for for 2024 and 2025, the 50% level for a household size of one is about $54,000. And it goes up as the household size goes up. So that is about where you would typically look at for 50% MFI for the next 2 years. Of course, it changes every year.
And just to add to that, to be sure, it will be 100% affordable housing. Between whether it's 80% or at the 50% level, it will be 100% affordable housing.
All right,
Thanks Zach for pulling up those exact numbers. I was a little off. It's a little higher than I estimated, but
You were pretty close, actually.
Commissioner Prince, do you have another question?
Yeah, I did. Thank you. I just wanted to come back to the first question I raised about the opportunities for input and engagement on this, and particularly there were some concerns raised from outside that were in the file that I noted, and I wondered where will those be sort of engaged, and or is that taking place already?
It's taking place right now, and I think that's sort of the purpose of the meeting tonight, is to begin this engagement. Note that we'll have probably no less than 3 different approval bodies that will be weighing in on aspects of the design of the site. So obviously CFA and HPRB are looking at the design through 2 different lenses. But then if we go to the BZA, Board of Zoning Adjustment, there will also be a design element to that discussion. So there's going to be a lot of sort of cooks in the kitchen, if you will, on this one. And that's part of the reason we wanted to engage with the ANC early on, just knowing that there's going to be a lot of opinions in the mix. And we'd like to have that, community feedback and the ANC feedback earlier in the process, as early as we can, so that we can make sure to the extent we can work it in, we can socialize that with those various approval bodies.
Right, thank you. Chairman Hart, there's no one here representing the people who raised concerns. I don't know if they were notified, or I'm not sure this is appropriate forum, but I don't see why not. And maybe going forward, if we take this up again, we might have an opportunity to hear from them.
So
comment on that.
Yeah, Commissioner Prince, it was advertised through the normal meeting channels. Was it constituents who raised concerns, or
the neighbors and the church?
Okay.
Neighbors in 475, and the church submitted a letter. They had some specific concerns that I don't think would threaten to cause any major changes, perhaps, but I noted that they're not here.
And these were submitted through the HPRB.
They were in the
process?
file. Yeah, they were in the file.
Okay. I didn't review that file. Yeah, we certainly can let folks know that there will be more opportunities to provide feedback on that through the ANC as well. I'm not sure, who all has checks on our agendas. So I don't believe we sent specific notice to the neighboring properties.
Yeah, that's true. We may have no obligation to. Okay, and I did just raise for discussion 1 or 2 of the points that were raised in those letters in the file. Thank you.
Okay, and we can certainly, Zach, and I'm sure we can continue this conversation offline as well if there's other things that come up, right?
Yes, and I will say we've had direct discussions with the owners of 475, so we are in direct contact with them. I'm not sure about the church yet, Howard or Mark, but they'll definitely be notified when and if we do file a zoning application.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and go ahead, Commissioner Hunt.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say it'd be great also if you could potentially engage with residents at 400 Mass, which is the other building to the right of Judiciary. I know that there's gonna be some opinions, just if I had to guess, from people in that building. And I'm happy to connect you to the building manager there.
That would be great if you could.
Okay. I'll send you an email.
Thank you.
And so at least just process-wise, I don't believe there's any mechanism for the ANC to engage with the Commission of Fine Arts, but at least for the HPRB and BZA processes, of course, there will be opportunities for folks to engage through the ANC as well. So we'll make sure that the presentation is shared out on our channels and that folks are aware so they can let us know if there's any concerns. Any other questions, comments? I don't see anything from anyone on the line. All right, well, Zach, Mark, Lucia, Howard, thank you so much. We appreciate it and look forward to continued collaboration.
Great. Thanks so much for the opportunity to present tonight.
No problem.
All right.
All right, thanks all. All right. I don't see that anyone from MPD has joined, so we'll just continue right along. Commissioner Hans, if you could pull up the NOI for 6 and K. I see George here. George is just going to give us a brief update on the changes from or the addition of the improvements at 6 and K Street since we last talked. George, welcome back.
All right, thank you for having me. Good evening, everyone.
Give us just 1 second. Commissioner Hans will pull up the graphic just so we can see what you're talking through, George.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. My name is George Gurara. I'm a transportation engineer in DDAT multimodal safety division. So today we're talking about the NOI 24-218-TSD. So this is for a safety improvement on 6th Street and K Street Northwest. Just to give you background, originally DDAT issued NOI for safety improvement at 6th Street in New York. This was in response for a pedestrian fatality happened in June 2024. So DDAT recommended to change the lane configuration and the signal phasing on that intersection. So basically, we propose to install exclusive left-turn base and protected phase for southbound and northbound direction on 6th Street approaching New York Avenue. So this is basically to protect the pedestrian by having a separate phasing when the pedestrian crossing New York Avenue, the left turns will have a protected phase and then there will not be conflict. So we received a comment from ANC 6C to look into the intersection of 6 and K. There is a similar issue noted specifically on the southbound left turn approaching 6th Street to K. So this NOI is specifically to address that. So we did our evaluation related to this, and we found out that having a protected phase for southbound left would help in terms of like a pedestrian, and also we recommended to have a northbound flashing yellow arrow. That northbound approach doesn't have enough volume to warrant for a protected phase. So, but having the flash yellow arrow will help in terms of like giving the drivers to be aware in terms of like a pedestrian available on that side, on the west side crosswalk. So just like if you go to the next page to show the graphics of what we are doing here. So basically what we're trying to do here is like create a left turn base. So whenever we try to add a phasing protected phase, we need to have an exclusive left turn on the approach. So on the northbound, we shifted the traffic further to the curve, both lanes, starting from the space next to the Marriott, this drop-off area. So we create a transition to create a left turn bay on the northbound. And we just maintain that through, and then like this left turn you see on the southbound will be a continuity from the previous project. So due to this shift, we will require to remove a parking space. So basically, south of K Street, we will remove 95 feet existing parking space. That's equivalent to 5 cars. And on the north side, we'll remove about 70 feet parking space for the specific NOI, and that will be a 4-car space. So basically, we're trying to get the shortened 10 days notice so that we can build this, install this as soon as possible, because like the New York and 6th Street and this intersection will be installed at the same time. So we don't want to delay the safety improvement. So that's why we gave a 10 days NOI. So the commenting period will end tomorrow, November 20. So so I'm here to answer any questions. So this is about our NOI.
Great. Thanks, George. Really appreciate the update. And I just want to again say thank you for taking our feedback seriously and evaluating 6th and K Street and proposing these improvements. We really, I personally seriously appreciate that, and I know other commissioners do as well. And so I just had really one question on the, let's see, the northwest side of the intersection. So the west side of K Street, there's valet currently for the AC hotel. That will not be impacted, correct?
Yeah, so in this improvement, we're not touching anything on K Street. So everything will be on 6th Street.
Right. So it's the west side of 6th Street, just north of K Street.
Yeah, the west side is also be like, we just only changing the, like near the crosswalk, we're adding the daylighting. So that used to be existing. So we just only pushing that flex post a little bit to the inside. So we're not touching that. So we just leave it open.
Okay, great.
I have a plan if you want to maybe see like updated plan.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that'd be great. I think you should be able to share your screen.
Yeah. Do you see my screen?
Yeah. If you could just zoom in a little bit. Yeah.
So this is the northbound approach of 6th Street approaching K. So you're talking about this side, yeah?
Yeah, but the other side of K Street, the north side of K Street.
Okay, yeah. So on this side, so we're adding a daylighting. So there used to be a parking restriction. So we just adding this flex post at the point where there is a existing parking restriction.
Okay, great. But the hotel loading, it looks like, will remain.
Yeah, we'll maintain it as it is. So we're not touching
it. Great. And then on the south side of K Street, the loading's maintained as well for the Hampton Inn.
Yes.
Okay, great.
And then this is also a bus stop approaching Mass Avenue. So we just keep open that.
Okay, great. Yeah, no, I think this accommodates pretty well the curb uses happening on these couple blocks while also making safety improvements. So I don't have any concerns with the design. Other commissioners, do you have any questions, comments? Commissioner Prince?
Yeah, thank you. I think this looks great. I'm really happy to see it. I just wondered, will it have any impact on the sort of the timing of the signals at the intersections? Because often the eastbound K Street traffic will back up, hindering the people turning into it, either from the northbound 6th or the southbound 6th. Sometimes it can be a problem maybe for pedestrians or so forth. And of course, it's backing up because of the signal at 7th or 5th and K.
Yeah, so I think in our analysis, we looked at in terms of like this K Street backing up and blocking this intersection. So I think in our analysis, we didn't take timing from K Street. We just maintain the existing condition in terms of the timing. We mainly take more time like when we create this protected phase from 6th Street. And I think what we're trying to do here is like the protected phase will be a lagging phase. That means instead of like coming at the beginning of the phase, it will come at the end, the protected phase, so that we can get for these left turns to get a space to make a turn. I mean, if you start at the initial phase, this will be blocked, so the time will be wasted. So that's why we make it lagging. So to answer the question, we don't take a time from K3, so we keep the existing as it is.
Thank you.
And George, just to, if for some reason DDOT sees in the future that there's a signal timing issue, is that something you come back and evaluate after new signals are put in, or is there a process for that?
Yeah, so I mean, like we will look into that like after we install it. So we will go out and then see the operation. So if there is any impact, we might adjust the timing. So while we're not changing the existing phasing, but if it's going to need a major change, that will require to notify you.
Okay. All right, I appreciate that. Does that answer your question, Commissioner Prince? Yeah, okay, great. Any other questions from commissioners or folks on the line? Feel free to raise your hand. Okay, all right. George, I think you can take that down if you don't mind. And so just process-wise for the commission, as George mentioned, the NOI feedback is due tomorrow. So I would like to propose that similarly to what we did for 6 in New York, that we send a resolution with or send a letter with our support for this proposal. Does anybody have any concerns with that approach? Okay. Well, since this is in my SMD, I'm going to go ahead and take the privilege to make a motion. So I move that ANC 6E support the proposed safety improvements at 6th and K Street Northwest, and that we convey that support to DDOT. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so Commissioner Hart moved and Commissioner Blackson seconded to support the proposed safety improvements at 6th and K Street Northwest and convey that support to DDOT. All those in favor, please vote aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
And Commissioner Carson, I believe, had to step away for a minute. Are you back, Commissioner Carson? Okay, so the motion passes 5 ayes, 0 nays, and 1 no vote. All right, George, I will do my best to get that over to you tonight.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thanks, George. Appreciate it.
Okay, bye.
Bye. All right. I don't know that we're going to get anybody from MPD tonight, so we'll just keep moving along. I believe we have Tony Velasquez from Labetti. Tony, great. All right, I'm going to move you over. And so this is for a liquor license application for Labetti at 420 K Street. It's a sister restaurant to a bake joint. I've had an opportunity to walk through the space with Tony, and looks great, and I'm excited. But I'll turn it over to Tony to tell us more about it and let us know what you're requesting for the liquor license.
Great. Thank you so much for having us over tonight. Just a little bit of background on our business. So it's a family-owned business. We've been At Baked and Wired, we've been there since 2001 in Georgetown, and we've been at a Baked Joint for 9 years now. We opened Betty, I think it was in 2018, 2019. We ended up closing it because of the COVID. Ironically, we let our liquor license lapse in March until my daughter Tessa and partner came up with a new concept for La Betty, and we decided to, move forward with it. So we're requesting for a new liquor license under a restaurant, and I'll have Tessa talk more about the concept that we're trying to do, and we'll just take it from there. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for having me. Nice to see you all. We're very excited for this relaunch of La Betty. We're going to keep the same cozy, good, fresh food, accessible food to the neighborhood. We're also doing an emphasis on natural wine. So keeping it really simple to good food, simple, good wine, great people, great service. And we're also excited about a new component of adding an emphasis to vinyl records being played. So we really hope this to be a really cozy neighborhood spot that people can come listen to great music, have a good conversation, have a great glass of wine and some food. And we're looking forward to it. So same, but different.
Same but different, yeah.
Great. And so I see the hours. Are those I know sometimes the approvals for a bit longer. What are your actual planned hours of operation? And apologies if we talked about this, Tony, and I forgot.
Oh, no, it's okay. We're hoping to open at 5 and close, depending on the day of the week, between 11 and 12. Right now, we're looking at La Betty as an evening component. There's a chance that we may have a morning component at some point in the near future, and that's why the hours look extended on the application. But right now, La Betty is an evening function, maybe open 5 days a week, but giving us some flexibility to open 7 days a week. The morning component would probably open at 7 and close at 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock. And, those are our plans, for this in terms of hours. We have a patio, but the hours there are a little bit more restricted. We wouldn't be serving alcohol after 10 in the patio, but starting at 5 o'clock.
Great. Okay. And I think that was my only question. Any other questions from commissioners? We don't have too many folks on the line, but if anybody on the line has a question, feel free to let us know. Okay, great. Well, Tony and Tessa, really appreciate you coming out and providing us an update. You all have been great neighborhood partners. I've lived in the neighborhood for a long time and actually live upstairs from a big joint. So we're happy to see I'm happy to see the La Betty space being activated again, and think this is a really exciting concept and something that folks in the neighborhood will enjoy. So
Thank you.
yeah, so I'm not hearing any concerns from other commissioners. Again, since this is in my SMD, I'll go ahead and make a motion. I move that ANC 6E support the proposed liquor license for La Betty, and that we communicate that support to ABCA. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, so Commissioner Hart moved. I heard Commissioner Hans first. So Commissioner Hart moved and Commissioner Hans seconded to support the liquor license application for La Betty and to communicate that support to ABCA. All those in favor, please vote aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. So the motion passes, 6 ayes, 0 nays. So we'll get that over to ABCA shortly. And Tony and Tessa, thanks so much and looking forward to it.
Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you.
You too. Take care.
Goodbye.
All right. Great. Well, we're really making good time tonight. So Commissioner Prince, I know you want to give an update on the public hearing for the Acacia building, so I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chairman Hart. The ANC received correspondence from the District of Columbia Office of Planning concerning the nomination of the Acacia building at 51 Louisiana Avenue to be included on the DC Inventory of Historic Sites, as well as the National Register of, I can't find the exact phrase of this, National Register of, I'm sorry, National Register, I think, Historic Sites. It'll come to me.
That's all
And,
right.
yeah, I just can't, I made a note of it in the letter they sent, but I can't find the exact name of the National Register of Historic Places. That's right. It's DC Inventory of Historic Sites, National Register of Historic Places. They will hold a public hearing on this on December 19th of this year at 9 a.m. It is an open hearing. The public is invited to watch. It will be a virtual hearing, and members of the public and stakeholders, interested parties, really anyone may submit testimony. And of course, the ANC has already weighed in on this on February 27th with a resolution in support of the nomination. The Acacia building was constructed in the mid-30s. It has some historical significance as the original home of the Acacia Mutual Life Insurance Company, which was an important DC institution, and since 1999 has been home of Jones Day. I will, I'd like to paste into the chat the place where members of the public would look at the nominating documents. And I will also, let's see, I think I need to make this for everyone. And then there is a second, that is the site, which is planning.dc.gov/node/1693486. And shortly before, several days before the meeting, before the hearing, the board will make available its view on the matter at planning.dc.gov/node/1176060. So those are the key points. I would maybe just mention also that the letter from the Office of Planning states that the principal purposes of historic designation are recognition of historic or architectural importance of a property, and protection for future review by the Historic Preservation Office and/or the Historic Preservation Review Board of proposed subdivisions and permit applications for construction, alteration, and demolition. So that's it.
All right. Great. Well, thank you for that update, and we'll make sure we can post that too, Dale, to our website
Yeah,
in some fashion so that we can have that up.
Right. I mentioned written testimony, but people may also request to testify before the board at the hearing.
Great. Great. Any questions from folks about that? Okay, not hearing any. All right. Yeah, Dale, if there's something that makes, and I apologize, I think you sent me something, but if there's something that is an obvious, easy thing to post to the website to let folks know, we can do that.
Okay, I think I can come up with a blurb.
Okay, okay, that'd be great.
How people can engage on this.
Okay,
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that. Okay, great. Well, that was our last scheduled agenda item. So we'll move now to our open forum. So commissioners or constituents may raise an item for discussion. We ask to keep it to 2 minutes. Any commissioners with announcements. Commissioner Blackson, go ahead. You.
Oh,
Oh,
there
there
I
you
go.
go.
I'm off mute. Good evening, everyone. I just want to thank all of you who came out to my community resource fair in Ward 6 this past Saturday. We was happy to be able to give Thanksgiving dinner baskets to 50 of the residents in the community. And I'm still passing out a few turkeys from that list. I had people lined up at 11 a.m. prior to the 12 noon start time. And we're trying to accommodate everyone who actually came to look for a basket for their family. So I just want to thank everybody or any constituents who are on the line who may have attended.
Great, and thank you so much, Commissioner Blackson. I'm sorry to have missed it. I was out of town this weekend, but really appreciate you doing that for the neighborhood. That's really
You're
great.
welcome. Thanks.
I just wanted to extend a congratulations to everybody who ran for re-election and was re-elected and is returning next year. So congrats to everybody. Any other items? Folks on the line. Oh, Commissioner Rogers, go ahead.
I just like to thank Commissioner Blackson, right, for the wonderful service that she brought to our community. She did a good job. You know, she really did. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank
Agreed,
you,
100%.
Thanks.
Totally agreed. Great. Any folks on the line, feel free to raise your hand if you have anything you'd like to raise.
Yeah, just a quick thing. I think we also should start talking about transition stuff at some point. So maybe in the next few weeks or so, and folks want to start thinking about if they want to run for executive board, because we obviously have an opening now. So just wanted to keep kind of throw that out there. I think at least for the folks that are on the line, we have what, 4 out of the 6 returning, if I'm correct?
I believe so. Yeah.
So it's something we just got to start thinking about.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, Ratanch. And of course, I will not be involved, but I will be involved in making sure that I hand off everything to you all. That we have some various accounts for the website hosting, and for Zoom's not so much of an issue anymore. But there's a few other things that I've been managing that I'll want to pass over to folks. But yeah, keep in mind existing officer terms do expire every year. So all 4 executive positions will be up for election. You all will have to vote on that at the first meeting of the year in January, which we've already scheduled. And then also at the January meeting, you all will need to establish the schedule for the 2025 February through next January. You can choose to, of course, keep the same day or whatever you want to do. So yeah, things to keep in mind. Happy to follow up with folks offline as we get closer, or talk about that more in December as needed. One other quick administrative item that I was just reminded of that I didn't have a chance to read. We need to publish or we need to send our annual report to the OANC by the 1st of December. So I can share what we did last year, but basically I'll just be asking for folks to send accomplishments and activities that you'd like to highlight from the last year. So stay tuned for that, please. And it doesn't have to be super formal, but if there's anything that has happened in your SMD that you really want to make sure that we highlight, appreciate you helping me remember what we've done over the past year. Commissioner Prince.
Thank you. What is 2 questions? What are the timeline for that? What is your deadline?
And I apologize for not remembering this sooner. I just got a reminder email from Kent. I think we all did actually. From Kent this morning. So it's due December 1st. I know the holiday's coming up, so I'll get it out this week so folks have time to think about that before Thanksgiving.
Okay, thank you. And then just on the timeline of our meetings, are we not meeting in December? I don't see it on that I have on my calendar, a December meeting. And I can't, because we have the
So the
last
17th, I think.
days are Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve.
Yeah, so we pushed it like this month, Dale, we pushed it early. You should have it for the 17th.
17th. Okay, all right. Thank you. I just did not have it on my calendar. Same time, 6:30?
Yeah, here, let me just, I'm not sure why you don't have it, but let me just forward it to you right now.
Yeah.
I'll just re-forward you the series just in case you don't have January too.
Oh, actually, you know what? I have it on my ANC calendar, not my personal calendar.
Oh,
sorry.
okay, perfect. All right.
Yeah.
No worries. Yeah, so December 17th will be the last meeting for this iteration of ANC 6E, and then we've already established that the 28th will be the first meeting for 2025. And then, like I said, it's of January. Yeah.
Yes. Great. Okay. Super.
And then, like I said, it's up to you all, whether you want to continue with the fourth Tuesday or whatever you want to do. So.
Will there be an executive meeting in January? No, then, right? Because like, is that?
I guess not. I guess not really.
Yeah, because
there won't be an executive committee, really.
Right, that's what I was thinking. Like,
yeah.
Okay. So basically, there's going to be a month where there's no real lead. Is it correct? If I'm understanding correctly,
It should probably be in February, right?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if the bylaws stipulate,
because technically,
I guess I guess Ratanch by default, you would be the highest ranking commissioner as vice chair. Well, that's a question we should look into. If the bylaws stipulate if what happens there, or I don't think there's anything wrong with somebody, volunteering to sort of interim shepherd things along.
Right.
For that.
Didn't you do that, Chris? That's what you done before you were.
Yeah, well, because we were all pretty much new last time there was an election.
Me and Kevin was not.
Except for you and Kevin. But yeah, we sort of just tag teamed, and it's helpful if somebody kind of just moves the pieces along. That doesn't have to necessarily be a formal chair in place in order to do that for the first meeting.
Yeah, but I'm
Does
happy
that sound
to
right, Denise?
facilitate.
No, I was just saying, for the first meeting it does.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And yeah, okay. But we'll talk more as we transition. All right. Not seeing anything else. I'm gonna let us go pretty early. Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn ANC 6E's November 2024 meeting.
And a second?
Second.
All right, so Commissioner Hans moved and Commissioner Blackson seconded to adjourn ANC 6E's November meeting. All those in favor, please vote aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes 6 ayes, 0 nays. Thanks everyone, and happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, everybody.